I don't remember the date. Um, as usual, if you're watching this on a repeat, there's a little dead air space because we're just waiting people to join in. But my name is Jonathan Lewis. I am a psychic medium, and I like to go live on TikTok as well as YouTube. If you're watching this for the first time, I like to go live on YouTube. It's usually Sunday nights at around 9 p.m. Eastern time. So I will catch you guys on here when I do go live. But oh come on, somebody get in here. Uh, let's see. There we go. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Catherine. There we go. Okay, you guys were making me nervous. It's like nobody getting in here. I was on for like a minute and a half talking to myself. How's everybody doing? Hey, Samantha. I'm good, Catherine. Thanks for asking. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Shirley. Good evening to you as well. Hey, Happy Aura Helpers. That's got a ring to it. Happy Aura Helpers. It's very easy to remember your name. Hey, Wildfire. Good to see you. Hey, Pamela. I actually almost just said that. Pamela Lam. Pamela Ma'am. Pamela Ma'am. Wow. I'm bad at this. Hey, Dana. Good to see everybody. Welcome to Building Connections, where we talk about everything metaphysical. I'm good, Jay Gamble. Dad's doing well, Catherine. He's actually at his other house today. And he told me he had to drive out there because he had to get it all ready for the summer. So he goes out there and he like power washes, cleans up, does all sorts of stuff at 87. Hey, Chris G29. Hi, Annabella. So I hope everybody's having a great weekend. The weather was really nice on the East Coast today, I have to say. Not yet, Catherine. No. Sandra, your dad is amazing. He absolutely is. He really is. He's something else. We always tell him, you got to stop doing stuff. You got to slow down a little bit. You're going to burn yourself out. But we love boasting about it when he's doing it. Yeah, my dad was out there today, raking leaves, at 87 years old. And, but, at the same time, you want to like kill him for doing it. But no, thanks, Wildfire. So what's going on? Beer lover four. Do you think ghosts haunt buildings? I'm very skeptical around that, and I think I should be skeptical. And you know what? Even when it comes to the work that I'm doing right now with mediumship, you should always be skeptical around it. I don't mind skepticism when it comes to the work. Prove to me that this is happening, and I'm okay with it. And the same thing with ghost hauntings and stuff like that. Do I believe that spirits are around? Absolutely. That's how we make connections with your loved ones on the other side. Do I think that they're haunting certain buildings? I don't. I just don't. I don't buy into that. It kind of goes against everything that we know. So, and what makes them want to go in that particular building? Like stories about people being murdered there, or it's scary looking, and that's why they're in there because it's a scary building. Is that the prerequisite? If you're going to be a ghost haunting a building, it's got to be scary looking. We're not going to go in there unless it's scary. I That just blows my mind. That's actually pretty funny. RoboCop. Yeah, if anybody's listening to that or looking at it, you can read it. So I had a crazy, stupid thing happen tonight. I always make myself dinner every night, and This particular recipe called for the pan. I was cooking the chicken in the pan, and then it says take it, put the topping on it, and then stick the whole thing in the oven. So you take the pan that you were just using on the stove and you stick it in the oven. And you wait like 20 minutes and then you take it out and have your dinner, right? So I took it out of the oven with my mitten on and I put it down on the table. Then I went and did a couple other things, went back to it, forgot that, that I didn't have my mitten on, and I grabbed the pot and lifted it, and in about point 0.3 seconds, I realized this is burning my hand. And I dropped it on the table. Good thing nothing happened. Everything was fine. It was one of those moments where you go like, wow, it's so easy to see when you like forget something. Um, and I just wish your brain, the reaction time is not as fast as I thought it would be. It really isn't. It's almost like you grab it, you're going like, la da 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 da, and all of a sudden you're like, I smell something. And it's like, oh, that's my skin, like that feeling. So totally fine. Hands great. No issues. But boy, did that burn. And I'm sure plenty of people do the same exact thing. Um, I mean, we do those things all day long, right? Walk into a room, forgetting why you walked in there. I mean, when you got a lot on your mind, you got a lot of things going on, that's what happens. No happy or help. I did not say my mom was like that. My mom has a unique gift of forgetting about bread. Um, it's an on-running joke. It's been years now. But whenever we go to my mom's house, my mom's an amazing, I'm going to call her a chef. I'm not going to call her a cook. She's an absolute amazing chef. And when she makes dinner for everybody, top notch. I mean, everything's like perfect timing. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's all done. We all sit down and eat, right? There's just one thing that always gets overlooked, and that's the bread. She likes to put the bread in the oven and then take it out right before we eat, and we cut it up and we eat it, right? Forgets every single time that it's in the oven. We're sitting there eating, and all of a sudden, like everybody goes, "Where's the bread?" She's like, "Oh shit!" Right? She forgot it's like burnt to a crisp, or it's like super dark brown, or whatever. But every single time, and I actually made a joke about it one time. I was filming her. She was like sitting in a chair right next to the oven. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Making sure the bread doesn't burn." That was like the big goal for the night. So that was funny. But yeah, she can cook these like 7 course meals. Like if you go to her house for dinner, you better be ready to stay there for a while, because it's like, well, here's this first part, and then we have the second part, we do this part, and then we have the third part, and then we have the dessert, and then we have the it just doesn't end. It's like one thing after another. um Clearly I'm Italian. But when it comes to bread, nope, not happening. You do that too, Abu? Yeah, I'm sure we all do. Bear lover, I want to go to your mom's for dinner. I'm telling you, she's like unreal. Unreal. And she does it so like she's 80, or she's 81 now. Hold on. She's probably 81 now. She's 81. And she's just calm. She just does it all. It's like all there, all the different courses, or all the different things that go together with the dinner. And it's just everything just lays out perfectly. I'm trying to make one thing and I'm like running around my kitchen trying to time it right. And I'm just like, not happening. So experience. The corn in the microwave. That's funny. So again, it's Sunday night. It's a little slow tonight. I feel the energy a little slow, a little slow. And that's nothing wrong with that. But let's do a couple of questions around the work. Anybody want to talk about anything metaphysical? I don't know if you guys saw, but I put up a couple of controversial posts on TikTok this week. Didn't go over so well with the spiritual community, but that's okay. We're fine with that. I wasn't expecting any different, actually. And it just goes to show you that, you know, things are going to be the way they are. I'll be doing a few more posts on that. The more that people comment on it, the more it makes me want to do more posts on it. So, Lisa, what's your take on Ouija boards? It's just a toy, but at the same time, it has something that can put intent. And if we're not knowing what we're dealing with when it comes to energy, and if you're going to claim to know anything about energy and how it works, you know that you can pull in stuff. You absolutely can pull in stuff. So for me, a Ouija board would be irresponsible. Number one. Number two, it's a tool that if you're doing mediumship should not be needed. So when we're doing mediumship, we don't need tools. We don't need tarot cards. We don't need dowsing rods. We don't need anything. Especially yes or no stuff. We don't need that. And you definitely don't need a Ouija board. Some people might want to use a Ouija board when they go live to get information. No, the only tool is the medium. That's the only thing you're supposed to need when you're doing mediumship, true mediumship, anyway. But again, time and time again, I'll scroll and they'll say in there so and so psychic evidential medium, blah blah blah, and then like you just hear this. You just hear this when you go on their life. It's like I'm done. The cards are out. It's like we're scrolling. Gets a little weird. Maryland, how fast do dogs come back? Well, if it's a greyhound, pretty fast. Um, Seriously though, how fast do dogs come back? Can they come back in our life again? I don't think our pets reoccur or play the same role in this lifetime for us. If they've already had their life here and they go to the other side, they will be there for us when we get there. But I do believe our dogs and pets on the other side help us to pick out new ones. I do believe they help guide us to what next pet we're supposed to have. People say like, I don't know why, but I got pulled to this one and I could have sworn, my dog was helping me do that or my pet so and so was helping me do that. And I'm going to say yes to that. I do believe that they help us to um, pick out new ones, so to speak. I do believe everything happens for a reason. So to me that's not coincidental. But I don't believe that our pets come back. I believe is that they kind of guide us toward the ones that would best fit us or maybe represent them in some way. So I do believe they play a role in that, though. That was a good question. Hey, Above Water Daily. One Above Water Daily. Hi, Lynn. Welcome in. We're just doing our huge, just talking some shit here. Yes, Catherine, the people on the other side do know what they died from because they have access to the past, present, and future all at once. So they would have access to that as well. It's not like, well, we can't know about that. It's like, oh, this is terrible. You don't want to know about this. Like, it doesn't matter to them anymore. They're not humans. So they do have access to all of that information. Hi, Christine. Tasha says, I love our talking shit sessions. Me too. Me too. I have no problem with that. Let's talk shit. I mean, in a metaphysical kind of way. Uh, okay, Carol Werner. Hi, Jonathan. Thank you for the amazing reading yesterday out here in Southern California. It was absolutely cool. Oh, thank you, Carol. Glad to hear that. It's nice to get feedback like that, knowing that you've actually made a difference. So that's cool. Appreciate that. Mrs. Jess Mess. I I only know your name well because I'm working on your post. I'm so sorry. I'm slacking it like no business, like nobody's business when it comes to getting out my posts with my readings. So I am working on it, Jess. I am working on it. So yeah, we're just answering questions here. Anything around? Hey, D Lusky, a little late, D. Oh, it's Chris, not Carol. I'm sorry. Okay, Chris. Why do you have Carol? So, Kathy, I'm intrigued about your past comments on genetic karma. I want to hear more about that. So, okay, so if we just talk about genetic karma for a second, there's some. The point of knowing about it is that it plays a role in who you are in this lifetime. And when I talk about anything around that, you know, a lot of people want to know about their astrology, and astrology is amazing. It actually is. It gives you a footprint of who you are in this lifetime and kind of like a direction of where you need to go or what works best for you. But again, it's not the only thing that kind of dictates who you are in this lifetime. So astrology is a phenomenal tool. Numerology is a phenomenal tool. Gives you again insights into who you are and what you're doing, where you're going in this lifetime, what to expect year from year. Where you're supposed to put your energy so that you have the best results for what's coming up. There's your family programming, which I talk about all the time. You can have four people that have the same birth sign or same, details around their lives, but their family, the one they're born into, the one that's raising them, can also alter or shift who they are in this lifetime based on what they've learned. And some of those people have to learn to either break that programming or that pattern that they were taught, or to enhance that, or like, take it on and make it part of who they are if it's for the right reasons. And then there's the genetic karma. And the genetic karma is very clear. Um, you can see it in families all the time. There's just certain families that are, um, some are miserable. I'm just going to say it. Some families are miserable. Like it doesn't matter what happens around them. They have like a built in kind of misery around them. There's other families that are very egotistical. There's other families that are very drawn toward finance and money or things like that. The nice possessions in life. That's kind of like their big thing or what their draw is. And those aren't downsides or upsides. It's just things that you could see around their patterns, what they were born into. And then there's things like ancestors, um, grandparents, great grandparents, great great grandparents, things that they had to deal with in life that they either learned the lesson from or did not learn the lesson from. And what ends up happening is those people, when they pass, if they did not learn the lesson they were here to learn, or one of the lessons they were here to learn, that gets passed down to the next generation. So that generation is faced with the same lessons. So I'm letting you know that you are dealing with some lessons in your life right now that either your parents, great parents, or great great grandparents had to deal with and maybe did not accomplish or um, push through with, or they had to, or they did. That's the cool part. Um, I see families all the time that are just amazing. Like everybody's just so amazing. They're just grounded. They all get along, right? It's like so rare. Like most of the time I do readings, there's a lot of family controversy, a lot of fighting that's involved. And that's normal, I think. I really do. I think it's normal. But there are those rare families that just everything just goes really smoothly. And I feel like that family learned their lessons somehow. Their genetic karma has been like erased. And the cool part about the genetic karma is if you are here to learn certain lessons and you learn them, that actually helps your family on the other side as well. It's not just for you. So anytime and now people say like, well, what is that lesson? What am I supposed to be looking for? It's the things that are hard, the things that are difficult, the things that kind of make you go like, oh, I don't know if I want to deal with that. That's usually where there's a lesson involved. If something's very easy for you, it's not a lesson. It's just not a lesson. It's not something you have to work on. It's because it's easy for you. It comes very easy for you. But if something's a little more difficult, and I would say 99% of the time, it's about pushing through the fear of whatever it is you're dealing with in this lifetime. That's usually the thing that where the lesson lands. It's around fear. So it's the break between fear and then love. So you're working your way through fear, and then eventually you learn what it is you need to learn, hopefully, or get through what that is, and then it pushes you into the love zone. Okay. And it's usually love for yourself more than anything else. But I mean, I could talk about an hour on that alone, but again, that helps. So just know when you're learning lessons here, it's not just for you, it's also for your family on the other side who possibly didn't learn those lessons. That's why it gets handed down. And you can watch it through your own kids. Like, you don't need your great great grandparents to figure out stuff. Sometimes you watch your own children go through things that you went through and maybe didn't do right, or you didn't handle it the right way. And then you're watching them go through the same exact thing and you're going, oh, shit. That's what it is. That's the karma right there. It's like recognizing like, oh man, I could have probably handled that differently when I was their age, or I could have done this like this when I was their age, and I chose not to. Therefore, now I'm watching it play out in my kids, and that's how it happens. So it just gets handed down. I hope that answered the question a little bit. Pamela, I only knew two families that are harmonious. Yeah, I know. There's not that many of them. It's rare, but when you see them, it's pretty cool. That's cool. Happy Hour helpers. Yes, I've learned why can't do as told, but live as learn. Yeah. You might want to throw a couple of words in there, like to make that a full sentence. I'm just busting your chops. That was a great question. Uh, Remember, I'm not that good at reading, so I'm like, duh, buh, duh, buh. I'm gonna read exactly what you write. I can't like make it different. Uh, oh, Stacy, when we dream and there's people in our dream that we don't know, are they someone from our past life? Could be. I don't know the answer to that. Could be. Could be someone from your past life. It could be somebody that your brain just made up, as well. Um, to get through whatever that dream is for you. It's not always about people on the other side, or our dreams are not always about spirit connection. That's the problem. Everybody has to realize that our brains are, what do we know, about 15% of what our brain does. So just know that your brain is constantly creating little scenarios in your head based on maybe your stress levels, based on what you're dealing with in your life at the moment. If somebody has a very clear conscience, they probably sleep like a baby and don't remember anything. But I know a lot of people have, like, a million dreams during the night. And it's like, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does this mean? Because it can be interpreted to something because it's your brain playing it out. But it's not always spirit connection. Just know that. That's funny, D. We got a small group tonight. We only got like 60 people. Let's talk some shit. All right. Give me a question. Give me a good one. Okay. Miss Jess Mess, when someone takes their life, is there regret, or does that fall under the no emotion category on the other side? Um, I've never, I've never experienced anybody coming through with regret. The only regret they have is about how the people living had to deal with it. It's almost like letting them know, and they'll come through and make us feel that. It's like feeling like, hey, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. I'm sorry you had to see that. I'm sorry you had to, um, go through what it is you're going through, because they remember, the rule of thumb is they're always fine. We get stuck with all the crap. That's the rule of thumb. So there's no regret on their end, because again, regret is a human emotion. They no longer have that. But there is unconditional love. And if they know you're suffering for what they went through or what they were dealing with, there's always that feeling of like, hey, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. That will come through. But they're not sorry about what they did. That It's very different. It's a different feeling. It's like something that they had to go through as a human being in this world. They had certain choices to make or certain lessons to learn. Um, and sometimes those things don't pan out the way that we want them to. And they end up kind of like, you know, pushing over to the other side. But I've never had anybody come through regretting their choice only because they're no longer human. They don't have that capacity to think. I know as a human, they probably would regret it, hands down. But everything happens for a reason, right? And I'm not saying that people should do that. They shouldn't. I think it's I don't condone it in any way. I understand how it can happen. Very much can understand how it can happen. But it's not the way out. You don't you gain nothing by doing that. You kind of lose an opportunity to make a shift or a change when that happens. Now, if somebody's terminally ill, or if somebody's dealing with a particular health issue that's very, very, painful, or it's obviously leading in a certain direction, that's a whole different way of looking at it. That's different. That's making a decision to make. to end something that's not bringing you anything. It's like realizing, like, hey, I love you guys. I'm okay. I'm of sound mind, but this is not working for me. So that's a whole different way of looking at it. But when somebody's dealing with mental issues or neurological issues around thinking and chemistry and all that kind of stuff, that's when it gets a little dicey. So the goal is to hopefully bring people to a place where they can recognize that it is worth being here. And that's the one thing I would always want to tell everybody. It is absolutely worth being here. And if you're suffering and you're dealing with feelings and emotions around things, please get help. If there's anything I could say around that, please get help. Don't think you can handle it on your own. And there's no reason for you to handle it on your own. Get help. Your family on the other side wants you to stay here. They want you to enjoy your life. They want you to learn the lessons you're here to learn. They don't want you to be miserable. So you're not alone here. Get help and hopefully shift that if you can. Sandy wants to let everybody know she's sorry she's late. Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate you being here. D, you said that you answered your own question. D said people that are born with mental disabilities, what could their possible lessons be, or did they sign up to help someone else with their lessons? So here's what I was shown. I can actually answer this. I was shown, like, sometimes when somebody young leaves, maybe it's a car accident, maybe it's something else. Maybe it has nothing to do with them or their choices as a human. All right, let's put it in that category first. I always feel like on the other side, there's like somebody with a clipboard going like, all right, we need somebody to play the mom. And then, the energy steps forward, like, all right, I'll play the mom. All right, we need somebody to play the dad. And then the dad energy steps forward. All right, you'll be the dad. Oh, all right. We need one of the kids have to leave early. All right, we need somebody to play one of the kids, but they're gonna leave really early. Not a lot of life experience. And then I feel like everybody else steps backwards, and then like one person stand there going like, all right, I guess I'll play that role. And I do feel like anybody that's played that role in this lifetime, I give them like big, huge kudos because I do believe that things happen for a reason. So sometimes when somebody has a terminal illness as a child and then they pass, everybody says, like, what is so spiritual about that? What is so positive about a child passing? I'm like, nothing, absolutely nothing. I have issues with it. I don't think it's okay. As a human being, have problems with it. But as my guides have always told me, we don't care if you like it or not. You just have to understand it. And I do understand the purpose of it. I still don't like it. I'm not one of those people that walks around going, it's divine will. It's the way it should be. That's spiritual bypassing. Nope, you can keep that. Not coming from me. I'm not okay with it. But I do understand why it's part of a life lesson here. There are things that people have to deal with in these lifetimes. Some people will deal with loss of a child. Maybe they won't deal with that. Some people won't deal with that till another lifetime. But there's always aspects of things that we have to experience because it's part of who we are and where we need to go in this lifetime, or I should say, as part of our soul on the other side. Gaining as much information and life experience as possible. And unfortunately, some of that plays the role. I read a woman who lost three sons. I don't even know how to explain that. She literally lost three sons. It's like, and she had the most amazing disposition. I couldn't understand it. Like, it made no sense to me. But she said after she lost the first one, because I did ask her at the end, and I said, I hope this helps a little bit. I always ask that question when I'm done. I say, I hope this helped a little bit. And she's like, yeah, it really did. She goes, just knowing they're okay. And I said, how do you, like, I didn't say the words, but the feeling was like, how are you still alive? Like, how are you dealing with this, losing three children, three sons? Um, I don't remember the full answer on that. All I remember is her kind of letting me know that it wasn't easy. She knows that they're with her. And that was the key thing right there. Like, I'm not the one who chose to leave. Two of them did on their own. One left by accident where something else happened to them. But she said, I'm still here and I know I have to learn my lessons and I know I have to still continue on with my life. And I said, man, you're like the poster person for this work because that is the ultimate goal is to keep going and learning lessons regardless of who's passed. Um, I will say this, if you've lost somebody in your life and it's hard for you, Believe it or not, that is a blessing because that means you had a great relationship with them. If somebody passes and you could care less about it, there's nothing there that you're losing. So if I said to everybody here right now, I could relieve you of your pain from the person you've lost, the only caveat is you have to lose all memory of them. There's not a person on here that would say yes to that. Not one person would say yes to that. They would say, absolutely not. I'm not losing my memories. I'm keeping those. So know that whatever your pain you're going through, whatever suffering you're dealing with around that loss is in a way a compliment to your connection with them. Because if you didn't care, it would be no big deal. So, something to think about, right? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Tasha said it perfectly. Grief is love with nowhere to go. Ain't that the truth? Wow. Sandy, one of my grandmothers lived to be 94 and lost three of her four children due to illness. You know what? And that's in this day and age, obviously, that's a rare thing, right? It's odd. But if you know anything about history, right, and you go back in time to whatever years those were where people were living in castles and outside of castles, they would lose children constantly. They would lose their children constantly. And it's like, wow, that was like a regular thing for them. Here, in this day and age, is kind of odd. It's like, what do you mean they lost a kid? Like, it doesn't make sense because that's not the natural order of things. But in the old days, that was actually a common thing. So I can't imagine people say like, "Oh, I wish I lived back then." I'm like, "Do you really? Do you really want to live back then?" Kim, yes. The answer to that question is yes. People can be born into a family just to teach. Absolutely. Craig BS90. What is the relationship that you have found between mediumship and tarot? How do you use it in conjunction with mediumship? I do not. Tarot cards have no place in the world of mediumship. They just don't. Tarot is a great tool. It's phenomenal information in a psychic aspect. Mediumship, no good. No usy, only psychic. And you will see people on a regular basis calling themselves mediums and using tarot cards or pulling cards. That's not mediumship. That's pulling cards. Catherine, do you believe in hypnosis? Yeah, and hypnosis is as good as the person believing in it. But I do believe in it. Remember, our bodies are amazing. Our brains are amazing. We can actually manifest things that we were not aware that we could do. So if you believe in hypnosis or the idea of hypnosis, then it will work for you. I've known plenty of people who have been through hypnosis. To quit smoking, stop eating certain things or whatever. It's amazing. Timeless jumper. Did we talk about purgatory yet? Not in this session. No, I have talked about it, but hey, Beth Kaplan, you couldn't find me. Why not? That's weird. And as you guys know, I like to answer questions, but I also like to have a little fun. So if I get a little like sarcastic when I'm answering something, just laugh. Some people get like, oh, like, oh, I can't believe you talk like that. Oh, just relax. Go have a coffee. Yeah, if you know me, if you've been following me long enough, I like to have fun. Fun is fun. I take my work very seriously, but you got to have fun when you're doing this. You can't just be like black and white. Wildfire has wants everybody to know that there's a live Zoom group. Oh, apparently it's mine. My live Zoom group, July 28th. It's a Tuesday night, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. There's only 7 spots left. So if you guys want to be part of the Zoom group, go check out the link in my bio, okay? Just go to the Stand Store link. I would love to see you there. We have a lot of fun at the Zoom groups. D. Lutsky, your accent comes out strong when you get snarky. It does. It actually, the New Yorker comes out really like, where'd that come from? So I gotta always stay in balance. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Lisa. Lisa said the last one was great. I appreciate that. I will always talk about that with Lisa. Yeah. So real quick, I have a Zoom group, July 28th. I'm not doing one in June because I'm not going to be around for most of it. So you might not see me on the live on for June, or at least for half of it. And July, I do have a Zoom group up for July 28th, which we just talked about. I have private readings up for July as well. June's pretty much sold out, I think, for privates, but I know July has openings. There might be a couple in June, I'm not sure. Uh, and then I have my live events that I put up for September for Melville, Long Island. I have one there on the 15th. Then I have one in New Jersey. I think it's the Meadowlands on the 16th. And then I have one in Pennsylvania, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania on the 17th. And then I hit Baltimore, Baltimore, Maryland on the, I guess that would be the next date would be the 18th. So 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. Yeah. So if you want to check that out, go check it out. I would love to see you guys live. That'd be cool. Pamela Ma'am, when you mentioned the Ouija board, you spoke of letting things in. Do you believe that there can be darkness in spirit? Yes. I don't know why people walk around, practitioners in this work. It's like one way or the other. They're either like, la 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 la, everything's great, throwing out flowers, or they're like, spirits and ghosts and evil energy. It's both. There's positive and negative on the other side. When it comes to mediumship, it's always positive because we're connecting with energies that have been here. Okay, that's different. But do I believe there are some negative energy on the other side? Yes, there has to be. Everything has positive and negative. It's like light and darkness. Everything works because there's a balance of the two. If it's all one thing, it kind of leans too far in one direction. So there's always got to be a little bit of that. And I do believe there's darker energies on the other side. Yeah, but they can't hurt us. Don't put the movies out of your head. Just forget the movies, with the hand coming up, like, like grabbing the counter or whatever. Forget about all that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about positive energy and negative energy. The positive energy put things in a good place, right? Raises the vibration, moves you in the right direction. The negative energy's job is to pull you down. So when we let the negative in, it kind of attaches to you on some level. Don't get all like crazy on me because I'm not talking about literally attaching itself, but it kind of finds its way into your energy and it works its way up to here. And what it does is it creates doubt, it creates fear, it creates sadness, those things. It like plays on that. Now, do you have to have that to start with? Yes. So look at it as being like if you're like somebody who's sad in the moment and you allow that energy in, it just enhances it. It makes it harder. And its job is to keep you in that place, to keep you in the down place. So you want to always recognize that when you're feeling a certain way, and you always say to yourself, I got to snap myself out of this. I got to snap out of this. It's very important to snap out of it because that energy just wants to pull you down. That's what it's designed for. But think, like I said, keep the whole horror thing out of it, the whole the whole ghostly thing. Just look at it as a high vibration and a lower vibration. That's it. You're new? Welcome. Tattoo. Oh my God. Crew Rex biker girl. Wow. Tattoo crew rocks biker girl. Welcome. Can't even get that out in one word. Yeah, if you're on here for the first time, give me a follow. I like to go live on here once a week on a Sunday night. I do put up a lot of posts when it comes to the work itself and also some personal stuff and having fun. That's always good to do. But my goal here is to teach about the work. That's why I go live. It's about teaching the work and where I feel it should be. And I was thinking about this the other day because some people made some comments about again, I put up a couple controversial posts regarding spirit-led mediumship on TikTok. And, I definitely brushed a couple of feathers, ruffled a couple of feathers, I should say. And, I got a couple of responses back from some other practitioners in the field who kind of like didn't like what I had to say. And I was totally fine with it. I don't mind the feedback. I will never erase a bad comment or somebody mean or anything like that because I feel like it's their opinion. Let's leave it there. Plus, I would like that to be there for history's sake because when things do come out in the end that spirit-led mediumship did eventually bring this work down, I want to have that post. I want to have that comment. So yeah, I'm keeping it there. And I will say it again, I have no problem with spirit led readings if they're done the right way. The problem is there's too many options for it not to be done the right way, which therefore leads to the gateway for bad mediumship. So if somebody's watching somebody do mediumship in a spirit led setting. That person that's doing it could be doing perfectly fine. They could be doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Plenty of information. Person grabs it. Person says, "I have that." Then they continue on with the details. It's fine. What I'm seeing though is very different. And that's what I said in the post is that we're not seeing that connection. We're not seeing that link up. It's almost like I'm going to give you specific information and then you're going to take it and then I'm going to give you generalities around your family, something that's not as specific. And I always say, well, why was it so specific before and now it's not? So as soon as the person's up in front and it's one to one, it's not specific. And yet I will have people um, back up and swear that spirit led is the better of the ways of doing readings. It's the better way of doing it, and I disagree 100%. It's a lazy way of reading. Jenny, if you have a problem with how I say things, by all means, you can leave. I have no problem with that. Let's keep it really clear, okay? That's the fourth comment you've made tonight. That is not positive in any way, shape, or form. If you're going to be on my platform, keep it positive. If you don't like what I have to say, bye bye. No issues here. You have a great night. Yes, correct. Kurt, it's an easily faked way of doing it. And that's the problem, Kurt. It can be faked. And that's the problem. Like I said, if it's genuine spirit led, no issues. But the problem is you can fake it. If you put somebody right up in front of you one on one, you can't fake that. You can't dodge around that. It's got to be for that person. And that's what keeps the like expectation level higher, keeps the bar up. And that's what people have to recognize. Um, Yeah, and I don't mind creating the controversy because then it gets talked about, then it gets discussed. And the problem is nobody wants to discuss it. Everybody just wants to go like, nah, 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 nah. And that's where I have an issue because I do see psychically, which is one of the things I do, is psychic readings all the time. I do see psychically that this work is going this way. It's heading downward. And it's becoming almost too easy to punch holes in things. And then that makes it like a joke. And there's too many people that worked way too hard way before I came into the play. They've worked way too hard to get this work to a certain level. And now it's because like social media is just taking it right down the toilet. And that's my problem with it. Okay. That'll always be my problem with it. Yep. And also use your own discernment. You can tell when somebody's doing this for the right reasons, and you can tell when somebody's actually doing it. And you could also tell when somebody's kind of BSing their way through. You can tell. My problem is there's a lot of people that are looking for um, a connection to somebody. It's a place of need for them. And when it's a place of need for them, that's not good because that's when people can take advantage of that. And that's the problem. It's easy to have discernment when it's not a need. But when somebody's like really hoping to connect with their son because their son passed, and a couple of pieces of information come across alive where there's 300 or 400 people watching, and you're like, wait a minute, that fits for me. I can have that. And then you grab that information and the person pulls you up, and then it's like, well, they want to let you know they love you and that everything's good. Now, in a way, is that positive too for that person? It is. It is. because it's like giving them closure, right? So again, it's a very controversial spot in this. I just know, as a matter of fact, that there are a lot of people doing the work for the wrong reasons. That's it. End of story. And if you're going to defend those people, you're part of the problem. If you're taking offense to what I say, then you're insecure about what you're doing. That's it. You should have no problem with what I'm saying. All right. Moving on to another subject. Yeah, if somebody said to me like, direct readings are bullshit, and those blah, I don't have a problem with that because I know what I do and I know how it helps people, so I don't have a problem with that. So I would say, well, clearly they're having an issue with it because they've watched somebody do it the wrong way, or they've watched somebody not do it in a way that's would be acceptable or helpful. So again, flip the script. Same thing goes with spirit led. There's plenty of people that don't do it for the right reasons and they don't do it the right way. They should be called out. That's it. Oh my God, D. Lutsky. My sign to leave is when the medium starts crying during a reading. Oh my God, that flips me off. I get so annoyed. How dare you? How dare you get emotional in somebody else's reading when you're the medium? Oh my God, that kills me. That person's suffering. That person's going through hell. And your job is to stay in balance. And you're like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you. Wrong, 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 wrong. Absolutely wrong. Yeah. Mediums should stay always in balance. I might get emotional about a reading after I'm done with it. But most of the time, I'm telling people like, stay with me. Like, I know it's emotional. I know. Please stay with me because we have to get this information through. I want to make sure you get as much of this as possible. Please don't, because when somebody loses it during a reading, it kind of closes up the column a little bit and like less information can come through because they're now a little bit more subjective in the information they're gathering. So you always want to make sure that I always want to make sure they stay in balance when I'm reading them. Like I'm like, you can cry later. I promise you can cry later. It's okay. But let's get through this. Let's get this information through so it makes sense for you. Okay, okay, okay. And then we get through the reading. So cool. All the ones I've seen stay in balance. That's excellent. That's so important. And again, I want to welcome you. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Like I said, this is the channel where I want to talk about this kind of stuff because it's my freaking channel. I can say whatever I want. So, and I really do appreciate you guys being here. And I'm okay with the hard questions or the comments. I really am. No issues whatsoever. Things can be discussed and talked about here. Um, Happy Aura helpers. That's huge. I wonder how many mediums don't even know any of this because where would they learn it except from one another and learn from the wrong people? Exactly. Good point. A lot of new mediums go onto like TikTok or platforms like this and they're watching other mediums and that's where they're learning it from. So, listen, it's very simple. If we're not doing it for the right reasons or the right way, then bad habits start. And right now, there's bad habits. If you scroll on TikTok, I don't care how much you scroll. There's just medium after medium after medium after medium, and some of them are like playing music in the background and like dun, 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 welcome to my live. It's like, and they're dancing in it. I'm like, that. How are you possibly going to do mediumship? Impossible. Sandy, I cried during a private reading with you, and you handled everything perfectly. Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate the compliment. And I'm sorry that you had to cry in a reading, but there's no rules around that. You can cry if you want to. I just shouldn't be doing it. That's all. But guys, don't think that it doesn't affect the medium because it does. Um, Especially when it's children. When somebody lost a child, or so, like that lady I was talking about who lost three kids. When you're done with that reading, it's depleting. When I'm done reading for the night, I am exhausted. I am depleted. I should not be energized. If you are a medium and you are energized after a reading, then you did the exact opposite of what you're there for. You took from that person. If you do a reading and you hit a couple things and you get like, yeah, wow, I got that. Yeah, I got that more. And you walk away from that reading all pumped up. That is the wrong reason for you to be reading. Absolute wrong reason. That means you took energy from that person. You did not give it to them or help them in that situation. So, and that's when we talk about ego, because that's what it comes down to. Yes, Pam, exactly. Bear Lover, where else do you do readings on the internet and when? I don't like to go. This is the only place I do like a set time, which would be 9 p.m. on Sunday nights. When I'm on TikTok, it's completely random. And I only do readings on TikTok live. In other words, when I can pull somebody up, I do them live. I don't put any of my private readings up. I do that on purpose because I don't believe I should be putting a private reading up on TikTok. But if you go on my page on TikTok, every reading I've done on there is from a live on TikTok. And I counted it out the other day. I only have about 225 posts on that app. That's it, 225. And out of the 225, 35 of them are actual mediumship readings that I did on lives on there. That's an over 15%. 15% of my platform is readings that I've done on TikTok. So when somebody goes up against me and they're saying like, no, I don't believe in what you're saying, or you're wrong about that, then I go to their platform and there's like not one reading, not a single reading. I'm like, I can't even take this seriously. So I don't respond. I just go, whatever. Dainty Dreamer, how do you feel about palm readings? I don't, you know what? Somebody was just talking about those the other day. That's so funny that you just gave me, my hair went up because that's like, I don't know if you just got that psychically or what, but I'm all for it. I'm all for every type of reading. I'm not against any readings. It's like palm reading. There's, what's the other one that people do? Um, Anyway, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of different types of readings. I'm all for it. It's when somebody tries to incorporate that into mediumship, that's when I have a problem with it. Yes, Julie, totally private readings should be confidential. If you get somebody's permission, hey, listen, this went really well. It's a great teaching tool for me. Can I post it? And they say yes, no problem with that. But those same people that are, complaining and bitching, they won't do a live reading on a TikTok. They won't do it. So I'm like, well, put your money where your mouth is or be quiet and sit down. Catherine, has anyone read you and been accurate? Yes, absolutely. And just so you know, for medium, it's very different when you're read. When you're reading for a client, there is a part of the process that is like you have to prove you can read. That's the whole point of it. You can't just stand there and go like, "Oh, okay, your mom's here and she's saying hi and she's got her arm on your shoulder and she wants to know how everything's going." That's not a reading, right? So we know that factual information is the way we can get information across to other people, being factual. And that's how we let the person we're reading know that their loved one's coming through because they're going like, yeah, that is my birthday, or yeah, that is my father's uh, um, livelihood or what he did when he was here and stuff like that. Like factual information is how it comes across. When you're reading another medium, it's almost like abstract because technically the medium should be a lot better at interpreting information. And I've read other mediums before, and the entitlement and ego that they have is insane because they just expect like, well, I'm connected. I do this for a living. I help a lot of people. So therefore my family should come through with no problem. And it's like, no, actually it's the opposite. You're supposed to be better at interpreting information. You're supposed to be better at putting things together. So I should be able to give you one, two, or three separate things. And you're supposed to be able to lock that in psychically and go, I know what that means. I know where that goes together. And that's how a reading should happen between two mediums. It's never wow. It's never wow. It's more, why am I seeing this with that and this? Oh, clearly that's that, and then they know how to put it together. So it's kind of funny to watch. But when you're reading for a client, there has to be a little bit of a wow factor sometimes because the whole point is to get them to understand that this is real and to kind of put their skepticism aside and believe in what's happening. And that's what opens up the column of light when you're doing your reading. But a medium's supposed to be that way already. They're supposed to understand that. So when somebody gives you a hard time, that's a medium who's reading another medium, that's their ego getting in the way. Uh, I can't answer that question. That happens a lot, Sharon. Don't worry about it. It's totally normal. It's kind of hard to be in the spotlight in the moment, when that happens, when it's like, information's coming at you and you're like, you like, you freeze up. But it's okay as long as you can figure it out later. And you will hear me say that. You'll hear people like Andy Ray say that as well, who I have a lot of respect for when it comes to the work because she sticks to her information. But when you watch those kind of readings, not always the information is not always validated in the moment. It's just not. It can get validated later. And when you get those testimonials later or the emails later saying like, hey, you said this, this, and this, and I just talked to my mom, and sure enough, that makes sense. If you're a medium, you have to know that that's got to have a play a role sometimes in readings. Future information or information that we're not aware of in the moment, as long as it can be validated later, can come through in a reading. Our job is to not get all crazy about it. It's like, hey, listen, if you don't know what that is, that's fine. Write it down. And if you're being read by somebody, and again, a legitimate medium will not get flustered. If I feel I need to push something a little bit, I will, because they're making me feel like, yes, they do. And that's what I'll hear in my head. Like if I say something to somebody and they go, no, I don't know what that is. And I hear, yes, they do. So I was like, okay, we got to figure out what that is. But you got to do it in the right tone. You can't like be mad at people, right? You're like, what are you, an idiot? You can't do that. You have to be like, listen, I know you don't understand what I'm saying in the moment, but just show me this has meaning for you. Then what we could possibly do is push the envelope a little bit and say, okay, like spirit, let me know. Is this on the mom side of the family or the dad? Oh, it's on the mom side of the family. Okay, they're telling me this on your mom's side of the family, and they're telling me it's connected to like somebody at the third sibling or something like that. They'll put you kind of in the direction of where it's at, and then it's up to the person that's being read to figure that out later. So yeah, we can get a little more information around stuff. Miss Jess Mess, one of my first readings with Jonathan, I forgot my own son's birthday. Was so nervous. Luckily, he was patient with me and we figured it out. That's good. I love it. I have people forget their own birthdays. I had somebody forget their middle name. I was doing an event in Syracuse. I don't know if it was Syracuse or Chicago. I can't remember. Um, and I got the name Diane, and I was talking, to a particular person in the group, and I said, like, "Who's Diane for you?" She's like, "Diane." She goes, "I don't know. I don't have a Diane." I said, "No, they're telling me you have a Diane. Like you're directly connected to Diane." And she's like, "No, I don't know what that is." We were there for like 3 minutes, and then we got a couple other pieces of information which validated for me that there was a connection to a Diane for her. And then she goes, and then we kind of let it go. That's what happened. We let it go. And I went on to the next person. All of a sudden I hear, oh my God, like that. And I look at her and I'm like, what's the matter? She goes, my middle name's Diane. And, everybody got silent for a second. But it was kind of funny. It was kind of funny, but it happens. All right, we're going to say it again. So, July 28th, I have a Zoom group coming up. Uh, that is a 10-person Zoom group, is 3 hours minimum. I usually go for like 3.5 hours. Strictly mediumship, no cards, no dowsing rods, no Ouija boards, no yes or no's, just strictly mediumship. And we have a lot of fun in there. If you're in that Zoom group, you're there for a reason. That's what I always want people to know. And you have to go in with a group mentality. A lot of times I'll have somebody who's coming through kind of take ownership of the group and kind of help me to move around, which is kind of cool. So if you're in the group, I could have like one of your family members come through and then kind of claim that they're like the mayor of the group and they will help me to move around to the other people. And the cool part is they don't do it for free. They always bring me back to you at some point and clarify information for you to validate that it's them coming through and they're the ones doing it. So we have a lot of fun with those. So I hope to see some of you there. Yes, no tools, Sarah. I appreciate the compliments. Sharing is caring. Yes. Yes, Catherine, they don't do it for free. That's what I always tell everybody. They'll help me move around, but they don't do it for free. It's like, do you have to, they're gonna have that like that wink, like or the piggyback or the postcard, like something that's gonna, even if it's for somebody else, it will still make sense for the person I'm reading. And then the person that, is that person in the group, they kind of get embarrassed. They're kind of sitting there going like, yeah, I have that too. I'm sorry, everybody, but I have that too. And like, don't be sorry. That's just validating what I said in the beginning, which is the fact that your family is helping me move around. And I will tell everybody else in the group. If I go back to that person, don't roll your eyes, don't get annoyed, don't be like, oh my God, he's going back to her again. Don't do that, because that's the one that's helping me move around. You should be thankful that it's happening, not upset about it. So, and I do read everybody in the group. So just so you know. And if I can't, if I have a blockage around somebody, I will either ask everybody else to leave when it's done, and then, hopefully I'll be able to tune in better, or I will just reimburse. It's not an issue. But it is a group experience. So I hope if you're there, you enjoy the group experience. And then the takeaway is that, the work is real, the connections are real, and they are direct, by the way. So the only time I do spirit led in a group is when it first opens up. I might not have a pull right away, and I'll tell everybody, like, I don't know where I'm going first. Once I have the first person, it's almost like they just direct me where I need to go. And then every reading after that's direct. So all right, guys, I am going to say goodnight tonight. I am going to be back on here during the week, though. I'm going to do a reading, okay? I'm not doing one tonight, but I will do one during the week, and then I'll be on again next Sunday night. But I hope you guys have a great week coming up. It was a pleasure being on here. Um, and I will see you guys soon, okay? I'm going to go to, I might go to, no, they're telling me no, I'm not going to TikTok tonight. So I will not be on TikTok tonight. I will be on there during the week as well. All right, everybody, have a great night. It was good seeing you, and talk to you soon.